Now we're going to move into our final conversation of the day. Our sister Tiffany Reid uh, is coming up to introduce our next guest. For those of you who don't know Tiffany, she is an attorney and a passionate youth advocate working with youth involved in the criminal legal system. So I'm going to give the stage over to Tiffany. Thank you. Yes, come on up. This is all for you.
So good afternoon, all. This is the wonderful Miss Carter. Miss Jackie Carter, she is the founder of the Children's Legacy Theater in DC, which serves particularly Wards 7 and 8, trains up kids in theater production, behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, and really gets them to develop these projects by themselves and put on these projects by themselves, really giving themselves the autonomy, which is something that often lacking specifically in space. So thank you very much for being with us. All right, Michael clearly had it down better than me because I had like 500 million questions and I have only narrowed it down to 12. And we're not going to be able to get to all 12. So can you talk to us about why art? Why was it important for you to root what you wanted to do in this community in an artful expression?
So when I was coming up, I always wanted to be an actor, and then I wanted to dance on Soul Train. And there was just in our communities no opportunity for that. So I ended up later going to Howard University, where I had an opportunity to develop myself, develop my voice, and as a playwright, not an actor. And went into Anacostia to look for opportunities and went into the schools because I always wanted to work with kids. And just saw that there was no art there. There was no art on the walls, there was no music, there was nothing. So I said, okay, I'm gonna put something here. And that's just sort of how it came. I saw the lack of opportunity that I had in that environment and wanted to put it there. So.
And if I understand this correctly, Children's Legacy Theater, was it initially for kids who were involved in the foster care system when you first envisioned it?
Right, so no. So when I was about, because of my late teens, I learned that Aunt Gladys, Uncle Horace, Uncle Spider, and Uncle Bob were not related to me.
As my family so.
And Brenda Schiller and Reginald were not my cousins either. But they were always, my grandmother raised them, they were always in our house. And when I got older, I was just like, okay, so I want to create so much love there for them. Like I had no idea they weren't related to me. And so I got a crush on David, and then I was told, well, you can go ahead and date him. He's not really our cousin. So, but I wanted to give that same love to young people who create family around them, outside of the community, inside the community and outside of the community at the same time, if that makes sense.
So a quick glance at the Children's Legacy Theater website shows all of the smiling faces of the kids who are involved in putting on the productions and all of the background. So how do you feel as if this sense of belonging and sharing of gifts really contributes to the relationships with peers and family and community?
Right, so when I first came into the Anacostia community in the late 90s, 2000s, it was just like a war zone between different neighborhoods. And I didn't know why, I didn't care why. I just wanted to create a safe space for the young people to come together and create. And so once I did that, I started to see how the children were not really interested in fighting. They really wanted to love each other and they wanted to get along. If a kid came in with, say, a bag of Skittles, then everybody got a Skittle because that's the way the kids really were. They wanted to share, they wanted to care, they wanted to love. So I just wanted to be a space where across warring neighborhoods, kids could come and and feel like family and be family. And that's what our kids will tell you today. I'm here because this is my family's here. Even though some are created, I do have whole families there, you know. Mom's a volunteer, all 4 of her kids are there. But they bring their neighbors, they bring their peers, they bring their siblings because they do feel that family love.
I love that. So I work with kids in the delinquency system, and some of them are what's called crossover youth, or also in different other systems as well. And as a stated interest lawyer, that means that the kid tells me exactly what they want, and I, with some counseling, then deliver or try to deliver as best I can. So it's not really like a best interest role in which I'm telling them, like, oh, this is something I think you should be doing, and therefore we're going to push in that direction. One of the things I love about the children's legacy theater model is that you give the kids the tools in order to be able to put on these productions, and then it's all about them, and they have to kind of man that and figure out what they want to do with the skills that you have given them. Can you talk a little about why that was important for the model of children's legacy theater?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things. Being a teenager, that I didn't come completely out of poverty because I didn't really know I was in poverty. We grew most of the stuff in the ground that we ate. So, and as long as your tummy was full and family was around, life was good. But one of the things that the young people, the teenagers in particular, want is they want to own it, they want to touch it, they want to control it, and then they want some money.
Yeah.
So I said, I don't have a money, and at the time wasn't getting grant money to hire staff to help train the young people in the various arts disciplines. So I ended up training them myself. And I said, okay, now that I have you trained, now go and put this project up. And what I saw then was that, one, the kids are not dumb. They're not slow.
Mm-hmm.
They get it, and they can do it if you give them the tools and the opportunity. They will master it, and they will do a good job. And then, more importantly, they will put pressure on the other kids to conform, get in line. Let's get this done. Let's meet this deadline. So I set the bar very high for them. One, it has to be done as close to perfect as you can get it. And 2, you have to do it on time. You have to meet all of the deadlines. And at the end of the day, with the rainbow, you're going to get a paycheck. So we also give our kids a stipend.
Well, that was going to be my next question, because one of the things I love most about it is that the kids involved do get paid. They are getting, their talents are being acknowledged, grown, and well compensated for. And so many art projects, as I'm sure you know more than anyone, especially at the time in which you funded this organization, a lot of the funding was going towards STEM and other resources, other subjects, and so you chose art for this particular project to really draw the kids in, and understood the necessity of being able to compensate them. What have you seen as a result of that? Not just the performance in and of itself, but what does that teach young people when they're being compensated for the skills they're putting in?
Okay, so I think the first thing that it teaches them is that you have to earn your keep. You can't be here and not take care of yourself. So a lot of our kids use their money to help mom pay their cell phone bills, and we have a requirement. Pre-COVID, we had a relationship with Industrial Bank where at least 30 of our kids had student savings accounts. And our kids, because we do offer them a consistent stipend, they don't leave. They're with us from 8th grade to high school graduation. So we have a 100% high school graduation rate, where the other young people are encouraging their peers to complete high school. That's the first thing. But the second thing is, because they had that savings account at the bank, and our rules with that, mom signed the statement, the kids signed the statement. Once you put the money in, you cannot take it out. So figure out what you need to do with this $50 that you get to keep, because the other one is not gonna come out of the bank. That by the time they got to graduation, they could pay for the prom, they could pay for the limo, they could get instead of getting a dress that was gifted from somebody, they could actually maybe have one made. Which was another beautiful thing, because the young people are so highly creative. We have people now, that actually sew. We're teaching our kids how to sew. And so I can make a dress for you, I can make a top for you. So it just kind of turned into a economic development, financial literacy, being responsible for your outcome.
That's amazing. How are the cohorts started, and how often are there cohorts?
Forest.
For the kids who are involved in putting on productions.
All right. So as I said, the kids don't leave. So we probably yearly work with up to 100 some odd kids. And so what I've had to do is form partnerships, and it just kind of fell on me. Actually, I didn't go out to look for partnerships. People would come to see the productions that the kids put on, like Raisin in the Sun, The Meeting by Jeff Stetson, which imagines a meeting between Dr. King and Malcolm X. These productions that are deeply rooted in Black experience and life experience. People were so impressed with the work that the kids did. And when you, at the end of the production, I bring the kids out on the stage, and I open them up to the audience where you can ask them anything about the production, about the content of the play. Because on the front end, all of the kids have to do research. So it doesn't matter if you're in costumes, props, light, set, sound. You have to do the research on the playwright, the history of the play, and so then that they're able to answer complex questions from the audience. The people started coming up to me, asking me, I'm doing this project. Can your kids come and work on this project? And I'm like, oh, sure, yeah, but you gotta pay them. You have to pay them. And so we just did, the kids just wrote a play for the Fannie Lou Hamer Breast Cancer Awareness. They just wrote another play for opioid fentanyl crisis that they performed. So Multimedia Training Institute hired our kids to do the light, set, and sound. Building Bridges Across America hired our kids backstage work, because I make sure, that's what I tell my team, I want to make sure that they can go out and work for anybody. A lady once said to me, you better be very, very careful, because somebody's going to steal those kids from you. And I was just like, are you kidding me? They're supposed to go and work somewhere else. You know what I'm saying?
Where are some of them now?
Yeah. So how far back do you want to go?
As far back as you want to take us.
Okay, so we have Myron Birdsong, who is, I'm going to be telling my age. Not a good question. We have Myron Birdsong, who worked for us as a teenager, got his start with us as a teenager, is now producer with Jay-Z, music producer with Jay-Z. I don't know if you're all familiar with that guy. And another one of our students, Calvin Smith, just opened last year for Beyonce. And we have another one of our students, Jamal Harris, he hired me on one of his projects, is now working in the movie industry. Another one, Sharon, was designing clothes for the Housewives of Hollywood, and Tony Braxton, a few other people. I can name some more, but the name's not coming to me right now. But one of the young ladies that used to work with me is now my grants manager.
Nice. Keep it in the house?
Huh?
So keep it in the house?
Yeah, so they've gone on to do some just amazing things, and I see these young people all the time. But Miss Jackie get kind of old now, so I don't remember many names, but they always remember me, and it's just the honor that God would use me for so long and keep me for so long.
Yes.
When the funding wasn't there during COVID, I'm not smart enough to do theater online. I couldn't figure out how do you do theater online. So I said, okay, tell you what we're going to do. We're going to hire poets and we're gonna teach our young people how to write poetry.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're gonna put a book of social justice poetry together. So we did that, and then we presented it in the evening of jazz and poetry at the Peter Green Center. Yeah. I don't know if I answered your question or not, but.
You did. So, as you're thinking about some of the things that community members can do to support, right? So, people with organizations who are partnering and hiring your young people. For those of us who may not have an organization, but do want to make sure that we're supporting kind of the, earlier we were talking about family formation in a very literal sense as far as the foster family system. But you've really created these family and familial spaces with kids in your cohort. How do we support that as a church body?
Yeah, so I would say the first thing you could do is come and sit down and look at them. Come out and tell them how great they are, what a great job they did, because I can promise you, if you come to a Children's Legacy Theater production, you will definitely get your $5 worth. Our tickets are $5 to $10. So you'll definitely get your $5 worth. I think the other thing that the church family could do, this is a very sensitive topic for me, because we've been kicked out of churches. Because, I said when I went looking for space, I have about 20 kids, 60 kids show up. And so they're just like, okay, well, no, we've changed our minds. And so I would think that the first thing churches could do is to form a creative component for the young people and allow them to own it. The teenagers, they want to do things. They want to go to the movies on the weekends with their friends. They want to buy a new shirt or something like that. Find a way to put a couple dollars in their pockets, because what we have learned over the years is that when you give a kid a choice, do you want to go sell some weed on the corner, hang out with your friends, or do you want to come work and make some money? They want to come work and make some money, because that's, at the end, is what they're looking for anyway. They want to come work and make some money. And the boys in particularly, which is cute, because you always find a love connection at CLT. The kids always find a love connection at CLT. The boys in particularly, they want to be little men. And they want to get that money in their pocket so they can take the girl out, and which I think is so cute. So, if you have a hall in your church or a space in your church that's, something similar to this, open that up to the kids on the weekend. Let them come in, play games, roller skate, just a safe space for them to be and do and talk about the things. No profanity, because that's Ms. Carter's other rule. No profanity. And just do the things that teenagers do. Open that space up to them and give them the freedom to be kids.
Amen. So you said we come out and support. When's the next play? Is it the 25th? Is that this month?
No. So I got a phone call from the Kennedy Center, and they offered us a grant, a social impact grant, and they also offered us an opportunity to do a production at the Kennedy Center.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Congratulations.
Of course, that was after they came out and saw a play that we did.
Which one was that?
It was called In the Forest of the Night. We did it at the Anacostia Art Center, which is where the majority of our plays are, the Anacostia Art Center in Southeast. And I didn't know who was in the audience, but he sent me an email and said, hey, and I was just like going through my grant proposals, and I didn't remember writing a proposal about this. And he said, no, I came out and saw the show, and I thought, the work you were doing is great, and I wanted to give this to you all. So we will not be on the Millennium stage. Okay. We will be in the Family Theater.
Okay, all right. So when can we come see you next then?
You come see us June you can come see us June 19th at the Kennedy Center. Showtime 7:30 p.m. Juneteenth at the Kennedy Center. Come out and celebrate, and the tickets are free, so don't worry about that. Then the other August the 3rd, we will be at the Anacostia Arts Center because I have so many kids. So August 3rd, in the summer we do a 10-minute play festival where the kids have 6 weeks to write 14-minute plays. About 70 kids. And then we put up, we call it our annual 10-minute play festival. It's always fun because some of the plays are so crazy. And then December, the weekend before Christmas, we're doing Jeff Stetson's play, The Meeting, at the Anacostia Art Center. And you can find all of that on our website. So if you want to just come out. Oh, one other thing you all could do is because we are a 501c3, you could donate some money. Get your tax exempt little certificate from us when you send in your money. You can also be a sustaining contributor through our website. So, because I know church folks got money. At least that's what I heard.
I wish that was. Well, thank you. So how, in addition to showing up for the kids and creating spaces that at least we can support them in being artful, how can we be praying for your organization and the kids you work with at this time?
Yeah, so Donnie has gotten really excited. And Donnie and the boys. And they're talking about taking $1 billion from the district government. And that's going to really affect grassroots nonprofits, which is what we are.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to pray, as the sister said that was here before me. I'm sorry, I don't remember your name. As the sister said that was here before me, and as good Reverend T also did, pray for them because we're doing the right thing.
Mm.
So pray for them that God will touch them in a way that they've never been touched before.
The right hand of fellowship.
The right hand of fellowship.
Got that one. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate you being here. Appreciate the work that you have continued to do in the community in service of kids in Ward 7 and 8. And I know they're going to go on and keep doing great and wonderful things.
Yes, they are.
Questions?
The website is Children's with the S, Legacy Theater. Theater is R-E at the end. 8, which is Ward 8 where we're located. Children's Legacy Theater 8.org. And my phone number, if you want to call me, is 202 710 7819. And I love phone calls. I hate texting and I hate email.
Noted. Any other questions?
Can you repeat the phone number?
Yes, it's 202 710 7819. Also, we're located in New Image Community Baptist Church. They just gave us space, so we are home housed once again. And you're welcome to come out anytime and see what we do. We love to have you, spread the word and all that good stuff.
I have a quick question about, we have I guess, when we're talking about youth, there's not a lot of after school activity, or a lot of extracurricular activities, right? And I know you said, let's find ways to put some money in the pocket. They seem to be more committed. Is that, have the children expressed that or have you seen it be life-changing in ways? Because I guess I'm trying to get the concept of, not get the concept, but trying to understand more about how we can kind of fund childhood in the sense of like, hey, you get to go to the movies if the parents don't got it. You know what I mean? Like, is my question coming through clear? Yeah, so just really wanting to know how impactful putting money in the kids' pockets is, because like you said, they may want to take their friends out on a date or little things like that. But just hearing, like, have you heard from them directly of how having money in their pockets impacts them?
We have letters. I have tons of letters, only because I make them write them. So we have, we usually, because we not only work with the foster care system, but we also work with the juvenile justice system. So we have young people that come to us ankle monitored, teen parents, hooked on weed, and initially they come because their friend told them that you can get a paycheck, but that's not why they stay. And they will tell you that they feel love, they feel guided, they feel support, and it keeps me off the street. Yeah, so it does work. And I was just saying earlier that if you ask a boy that I go down to the court to advocate for the ankle monitored teens as an alternative place for them. So if we can get them housed somewhere locally, then they can come here as an after school activity. And I'm walking down the hall with a 12-year-old, and he says to me, I painted that. I painted that. And I was like, you did? Well, you're just 12. When'd you do that? When I was 10. But you can't find that in his school. There's no sign of that in his school. So now he can come to, we don't, at Children's Legacy Theater, we don't offer painting, but our partner does. So he can come to us, still get his paycheck to go over here and paint, which is what he loves to do. So now he's finding what I call grace. Not only am I not holding that ankle monitor against you, but I'm going to help you get it off. And then I'm going to show you some love in the community where you can go and do what it is you want to do. And then I get something. Then I get something that's greater than that. I get the Lord telling me, good work, daughter. Good work. Now you keep going. So the kids will tell you out of their own mouths, I want to be here because it's safe for me.
I had a question here. How can we get our youth involved? A lot of this conference is how we can get involved, but this particular subject, I'd love for our youth to get engaged, maybe with your organization or partner organizations.
So we don't turn anybody away. We don't turn any kids away at all. So you would just make an appointment. Our program director, Miss Lakia Barnett, does all interviews on Fridays. And you have to come down with a parent or a guardian or whoever up to, I think it's 17 or 18. I think it's 18. 18, you don't have to bring a parent or a guardian. But come down with a parent or guardian and fill out the stacks of 10 pieces of paper that she has for you to fill out. And that's it. And your kid will, during the interview, will see the list of jobs that we have, and they'll pick, what it is they want to learn, and then they pick the project that they want to be involved in. But I want to say, can I have just a couple minutes? So the other side of what we get involved in is civic engagement, because it's not enough for me that young people know how to put on a play or draw a picture. They also have to be invested in the outcomes of their community and know that they have power to make a change. So legislation that's coming down the pike, like the Secure DC bill, for example, we recruited, and we don't demand that the kids work on the project. The kids can pick the project that they want to work on. We just make sure that we have enough projects that would spark interest. So 20 kids volunteer to work on their civic engagement project as it related to the Secure DC bill. So they had to read the entire bill. We read it together as a group. We invited the police to come in and talk to us about the civic engagement bill. The kids attended, I think it's when they were contesting for the Ward 7 8 city council seats. The kids attended those meetings and asked questions related to this Secure DC bill, which a lot of those people contesting for those seats didn't have enough information about. And then they prepared 10-minute testimonies to go before the city council and testify. That is very empowering for our young people, and it makes them see the community different. Because now, whereas before, they might not have seen the guys on the corner as in need of something else to do. They might have just been dismissive about it. Oh, they're bad, or they don't, they're just doing drugs, they're no good. Now they see them differently. Like, we have to put some things in place, to help the community. So there's plenty of opportunity for, if not with us, with our community partners. So that's all. Just bring them down. Call us up.
Hi, I don't have a question, but just a comment. Just wanted to first thank you for coming here and sharing that, and just really thank you for what you're doing. As I just listened to you, also as a former theater kid, so this is hitting home in a couple of ways. But it's such the word that came to mind was like I don't even know if it's the best word, but it feels like a luxury now that these kids get to have to be able to do something that they love and something of the arts that interests them and get paid for it. That's something that I know generations before them may not have had the opportunity to do. And so it's such an important, all the elements that you named are so important, just to be able to do what they love, to get paid for it. And then as you just named the civic engagement element, all of it is so important. And I will be, as all of us I'm sure will be, just praying for your continued support and just all the support of the arts. You named the how the DC's budget is in jeopardy potentially, and when budget cuts happen, especially in for schools, the arts are the first to feel that cut, to feel that impact, and so there's even less from when I was in high school opportunities for the arts and theater as there are today. So I just hope you know that the work you're doing is so important, and just listen. You answered one of my questions earlier, and what are the kids doing today, and just knowing that you're planting a seed of creativity and interest that follows them, and they are going on to have careers in that space. It's so important, the work you're doing. So if you didn't hear that today, I just wanted to name that for you. So thank you again for being here.
I think we clap after that.
I just have a quick question about your journey. Like, when did it start for you, and how did you keep going when things get hard? Is it just, I had a calling from the Lord and I just was like, yes? Or how did it go for you? Because maybe there are people in the room that might not do theater, but have something else that they want to do, and would just love to hear that journey of yours.
Yeah, so when I was growing up, there was, we didn't live on the white side of town, but that's the side of town that I ended up going to school in. And I wasn't selected for anything, even though I desperately wanted to be selected. I was just not selected, so there was no opportunity there. And then I had natural abilities. I was a natural gymnast. I could dance. I was a poet, but no opportunity to express any of that. And then I put myself in Howard University and started working in Ward 8. As I was saying earlier, I always wanted to work with children, and saw this exact same thing. Even though, I was surrounded by a bunch of Black people and educators, they just did not invest in the arts. And I just wanted to put art there for the children. I wanted to give them what I wanted. which was an opportunity to express, an opportunity to create. And that's pretty much how it started. When I started out at the grassroots level, there weren't many entities funding the arts. There was always the commission, DC Commission for the Arts and Humanities. I think there was one other. So I had to, interesting journey. I had to gather up other artists and advocate for that money to be, we know that Ward 7-8, the greatest number of black children, the greatest number of black children reading below, greatest number of black children, this, that, and the third. But no money coming down for it. Just going to use the data to get money, but not trickle down the money. So we started advocating for that. I formed something called the Ward 7-8 Coalition, and we started advocating for that at the hearings and just really embarrassing them. Because here we have all these children in Ward 8 and no money to provide safe spaces and creative spaces for them. And so that's how that came apart. And then, they absolutely hated me, but I didn't care. There was a year or two where even after we advocated for the money, they started giving the money, they didn't give me any. They didn't give me a nickel. So I started embarrassing them about that too, that it's so pretend I'm invisible. See the kids, right? And but then they, the people changed, in and out of jobs. The ones that hate me the most left, and then we started getting money, and now I'm advocating now for more money, because we still know that Ward 7 and 8 has the greatest need. In spite of the oncoming gentrification, we still know that need is there. So I'm still advocating for more money. I absolutely love the kids because they have a very, the reputation is wrong. They are not bad. They really are not bad. They're very smart, very intelligent, very beautiful children who lack resource and opportunity. But once you put the resource and the opportunity there, and I am determined through Christ who strengthens me.
Amen.
I am determined that you will see them. You will see their beauty, and you will love them. If not, at least respect them.
Thank you so much for that. And thank you especially for your humility in coming in, and you've noted, don't look at me, fine. Make sure you see these kids. And it takes such a degree of humility, and not false humility, to be able to say, like, I'm going to put the work in, but here's who it's serving. And here's where you should be looking, and the people you should be caring about. And those are the people that God has placed on the heart of this church, and that He has mandated us as the body of Christ to make sure that we're looking out for as well. So thank you. Oh.
All right, everybody, you got the last one.
Okay, there we go.
I'll try to make it good.
And I can talk, so we're gonna work it out.
Loved hearing about your partnership with the church that you just moved into and how they're providing the space for it. And a lot of what you shared highlighted the importance of having space for kids and youth to gather in. Our church right now is considering, have been praying for and considering a space that we're looking to move into. So can you kind of help cast a vision or share how we can now be thinking about how we can serve in the best way possible? Is it standing up our own arts program? Is it housing or fostering another organization to move into our space to use it? Is it some other form? I'm really just helping us to think through in advance ways we can bring in this particular way.
Right, so I would say churches are full of educated people. Churches are full of educated people. So the first thing you want to do is get you some good grant writers, and start looking at what kinds well, first talk amongst your congregants. What type of opportunities do you want to offer to the children? Do you want a place where they come in and do theater? Do you want a place where they come in and do some other type of art? Exactly what is it that you want to give them? And then find you who gonna write the grant. So get some good writers together at the table and start applying for those funds. That's the first thing. And then, there's so many young people. There's just nothing but opportunity in terms of recruiting these young people. So I would say, as my old pastor used to say, go get some of your sinner friends and bring them to church. Right? Don't always go look for the children who's gonna do well with or without you. They're gonna be okay. That's the way we look at the organizations that receive the lion's share of the funding. They cherry picking kids. These kids gonna do okay whether you look at them or not. But as a church, go and recruit the children who you see at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and 12 o'clock walk in the street because they're supposed to be in school, but they're hooking and ain't nobody paying attention to them. They're invisible, right? Sister was saying earlier about foster parents who are not measured, who they're not counted into the factor. I'm one of those. I have kids on my couch all the time who ran away from home because they didn't want to follow the rules. I'm like, okay, you're not going to come in the house, get something to eat, lay down, this, that, and the third, and we'll go back and see mama tomorrow. Make a space for them inside your church, right? Sometimes we have a tendency to say, those kids are just really unruly. They're bad. No, they're not. They're not loved. So open up and love them. Sometimes, I mention no names, but sometimes we want to bring the children into the church and you better love Christ right now. If you don't love Christ right now, you can't stay. And we find that is so true amongst our older congregants. They want to lower the discipline hammer right away. Where if you're a kid and the first thing you hear in the morning is MFB, what did I tell you? And that's the last thing you hear at night. Then some stranger coming up to you, ruff, 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 it's just going to make you run out there and go do what you're going to do anyway. So find a way to, a couple years back, it doesn't happen to me often, but a couple years back, a little boy cussed me out. I mean, he called me everything except a child of God. And he knew that he was not going to be welcome back. And I told his friends, go and find him and bring him here. And when he came back, I said, yeah, huh? You cursed me out real good. Now, see if you can finish this project that I told you to complete before you left. Nothing's changed. You still have to finish this project. As opposed to me saying, well, you cussed me out. You ain't gonna never come back here. You ain't got no manners. I knew that when he came through the door. He ain't got no manners. So as a church, these are the children that we're looking for. Because Christ came for who? Come on, who did Christ come for? Yes. Christ came for those who were not well. And sometimes we interpret that as, oh, you're sick in the body. So that's what I would say. Make space for the children. And then, understand that that is who you are dealing with. And don't be, I've seen some educators because they're clearly afraid of the children. I see them trying to jive talk kids, and get down on their level and use all that slang with them and bebop and hip hop and this, that, and the third. We're not doing that because I'm raising you up. So you're gonna have to stop that. Take your hand out your pants, pull your pants up, put the cell phone down. You know, if you come to one of our sessions and say, like right now, we're doing a play on Fannie Lou Hamer. We're on the research phase of learning about that time period. And so I put a video on the tube for the kids to watch. You're not going to see one kid in that room with a cell phone in their hand because they know I will have a nervous breakdown. Right? But they didn't come to me that way. I had to work them into that. And so patience with an abundance of love, right? And so somebody told me years and years and years ago, oh, you know, girl, don't hug those kids because they will say that you touched them inappropriately, right? And you can tell the kids who have been touched inappropriately because when you hug them, they're looking at you with their mind, waiting for that inappropriate thing to happen, right? So don't be afraid to hug our babies with the love of God in front of you. They will receive that. They will love that. They're missing that, right? So that's what I would say. Make space for the children who need you the most, and then have patience and love them. So at Children's Legacy Theater, we say, Children's Legacy Theater is a place where you can come and make a mistake and not receive corporal punishment. There will be consequence, but not corporal punishment.
It's a lot of mic drop moments, but this will be our final one. Again, thank you. Thank you all for this conversation.